Hi, and welcome to another episode of Dawncast, live this time. And we're here to help tell your story, and I'm Dai Lee. Thanks for joining us. And we've got Fardad Nejati from One Accounting joining us this afternoon to help provide us with some information regarding the JobSeeker, JobKeeper. I believe the applications are open on Monday. Is that right, Fardad?
Yeah, Monday just passed. Correct?
Monday just passed. So tell us, what is JobSeeker and what is JobKeeper?
Jeez. So JobSeeker is more or less the previous New Start, which was previously called the dole. So everybody knows that word. It's basically an unemployment benefit.
Right.
JobKeeper is a little bit different. It's actually a different initiative altogether. So it's not about people being out of work. It's about people being still employed where their wages are subsidised through their employer by the government.
So, okay, there are two things there. So with the job seeker, which was the previously on the dole, the dole kind of payment, New Start.
Official.
How has that changed other than the name?
Okay, so the original calculations stayed the same, okay? However, they did add what they call a coronavirus supplement to it. So whatever you're entitled to and you were getting previously, they're paying an extra $550 a fortnight.
Right. So how much is that previously when people were on the dole would they get?
It depends how much you earn in other income. It's about $500-$600 a fortnight, depending on your family situation.
And now it goes up to?
And now it goes up, whatever it was, plus another $550.
Right. Okay.
And then, I mean, on top of that, they also have the... if you think about the $750 stimulus that they were doing, so if you're entitled to it, you also receive these extra one-off little boosts.
That's for the job seeker as well?
For the job seeker as well, yeah. Job seeker.
Okay, so job seeker, so basically you got the dole money.
Yep.
Plus the special coronavirus supplement.
Yes.
Plus the one-off $750.
Yeah.
So as an accountant,
yep.
How much does that add up to?
I don't know, 1,400-ish.
Okay.
The $750, however, is a one-off payment.
Right.
Okay. I think there's another one scheduled in October, maybe.
Right.
But that's just a one-off. Here, have some money and spend it.
And that is targeted mainly at the unemployed.
Correct. So people who have lost their jobs, and who are actively looking for work, although that's difficult.
Okay. But how about those who, people who are on unemployment are known to be on unemployment, and we talk about the generations of unemployment.
Yep.
And will they be also benefiting from that?
I believe so. Yes.
Wow.
I believe so.
Okay.
It's a good time to be unemployed.
Oh my God.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
And then so that's hopefully the audience is clear. So that's the job seeker, which is the previously old being on the dole as you're looking for jobs, and if you're probably working part-time, I think you're allowed to work certain hours, isn't it?
Correct, yeah. So there's different income thresholds, and depending on how much you earn, it affects how much you receive from them. So
and the one-off is $750, but in addition they get the $550 on top of their old
that's correct.
Money that they receive.
That's correct.
And that is going to be ongoing, or is there a time frame where there's a cutoff?
No, that will be ongoing. So you will have to continually report your income to the government. So it's ongoing for as long as you qualify.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, so we move over to the job seeker. This job keeper.
Keeper. Yes.
Now,
don't get them mixed up. Very different. One letter can mean a lot.
It is. I'll ask you about the job doer in a minute. So the job keeper. So that is for employers.
Correct.
Okay. So go through that again.
So it's good to understand the motive behind why the government released the JobKeeper stimulus. And the reason was they recognized that a lot of employers were letting staff go simply because they don't have the workflow now. Now that makes it difficult down the track because when they want to reopen, it means they've got to find staff again. They've got to, contact recruiters. All these other people are going to be trying to hire staff. So the labor market will be strained trying to fulfill all of this employment.
So the idea behind the JobKeeper, and how much is that? But the idea behind it is to encourage employers to keep staff and not let go of staff.
That's correct. And there's a two-prong effect here. So they also wanted to relieve some of the pressure from Centrelink.
Right.
Okay. So, Department of Human Services it's called now. They didn't want, you saw likely the lines.
Oh, yes. Oh,
That's
my
right.
God. I've just
So-
never seen such long queues at Centrelink before.
Yeah. So they wanted to avoid that situation.
Right.
And kind of channel the compliance and the workload away from Department of Human Services and basically and unfortunately onto employers in order to qualify for this and to pass it on to their staff.
And how do employers, what businesses do qualify for the JobKeeper and how much do they qualify for?
Okay, so this is an area that constantly changes. So repeatedly, there's new information coming out. But essentially, the core of the provisions say that if an employer's income has reduced, that's income, not profit, compared to the prior year, if it's reduced by 30%, then they qualify for it. And they don't qualify it just for that month. They qualify for the full 6-month period that these payments are going to be made.
Right. So then you have to then obviously ensure that you're showing the government that there's been a reduction of at least 30% in your income, revenue.
That's correct. Now, it is difficult because they will actually, the government will actually make these payments to you on the assumption that you've self-assessed correctly. So you can estimate that your revenue will reduce by 30%, say in May, right? And you will qualify for the payments.
So self-assessment.
It is self-assessment, yeah. It's entirely
Okay,
self-assessment.
there you go.
Yeah.
So you can just do you have any kind of accounting paperwork that you have to show?
Not initially. And
Right.
I suspect some people may have some trouble. However, the government does expect you to report regularly, and they haven't made it quite clear what reporting mechanism they will use. But basically, they're going to ask you every month, how much are you earning now? But
as an accountant, from your perspective, though, what would you advise your, a business who might say, look, I'll reduce. I want to assess that my income has reduced by 30%, and to be able to get that money. But that in the long run, if they don't do the proper paperwork, surely it'll catch up with them, wouldn't it?
It surely will. All the stimulus, not just the JobKeeper, all of the stimulus announced by the government is costing a lot of money. And arguably we're going to be paying off those debts in some manner over the next 10 years. So I think that there will be a push, a big compliance push on the other end of this, maybe a year, 2 years down the track, where the government basically tries to catch out people who were abusing the system.
Talking about abusing the system, there was an article that was in news.com. Now, Mr. C, if you can pull that up, our wonderful C man. So, talking about, compliance and doing the right thing. Now, there's a story here that we can see that showed that, shop owners blunt text to employee over 1,500. Basically, a young girl, 21-year-old, who's working in a boutique, said that basically her shop JobKeeper allowance, the 1,500 that she's supposed to receive, now she's expected to work long hours.
Yeah, so this article actually raised a lot of questions, which I believe the government did respond to. So if we can speak generally quickly, the way that the payment works is if the employer qualifies, then all of the full-time and permanent and part-time staff are entitled to it. Now, this doesn't mean that the employer now makes money. Okay, so it's not a win for them necessarily. However, it does subsidize the cost of those employees. Okay, now part-time employees and full-time employees, generally no issue. The issue arose when we started talking about casual employees who were working on a recurring period, okay, and they were working for more than 12 months with the same employer. That's where this big grey area showed up, okay? Now, this article, basically to cut it short, the casual employee, she was probably only working a small number of hours per week.
Yep.
She contacted her employer and said, hey, boss, can I get this payment? Make sure you register. Now, the employer basically said, well, if you're going to get that much, then I want to see you in work, right? I want to see you here in uniform and start working. And the employee, whether it's entitlement or whatever, the employee essentially said, no, I'm not going to do that. That doesn't sound right. Okay.
But she's asking to apply for the job seeker
keeper. So
this is
no. So the employee is telling her boss, you should sign up for the job keeper and make sure I get my money too.
Right.
Right.
But is she also? Do you think she's applied in this case? Do you think she's applied for the job seeker as well?
You're talking about the employee?
The employee.
She may have. May have, and again, that is her right.
Yep.
But blanket rule, you only qualify for one. So if you're receiving the job keeper, you need to notify DHS that.
No, if she's qualified for the job seeker.
No. If you qualify for the job keeper as an employee,
okay,
right, then you need to tell Department of Human Services, hey, don't pay me anymore. I'm receiving a job keeper through my employer.
Oh my God!
This is like a welcome to my world. You're in my zone now, right? You're in my zone.
I mean,
this is mine now.
Really, even for people out there. I mean, for the job seeker people, the job seeker category, they know already that they are entitled to this money.
Yeah.
The job keeper is probably entitled to that. But when it comes to if the job seeker is still in an employment, but in a casual employment, that means you rely on the employer relies on their honesty to say, actually, I have applied for a job seeker.
Yeah. Okay. So let's. Yeah. That's all right.
What about the job doer?
Yeah. Well, the job doers, they work in the grocery stores, and behind the counter at McDonald's. They're the job doers, right? Everyone else is chilling out.
Yeah.
So let's take it a step back. Okay. Job seeker, you get that if you've got if you're unemployed.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if you've been put on stand down, all right, you're not technically unemployed. You're still employed. Okay.
Yep.
You've still got a job. You're just not earning anything.
Yep.
Okay. Whether it's because you choose not to work or you're doing reduced hours or whatever. Right. Now, for a full-time person who is maybe earning, let's say, $1,000 a week. Okay. For that person, if they've been asked now, oh look, we're going to cut your pay by 40%. Okay, then now they either work less and receive less, or they go through their HR and whatever, and they get paid what. Now, by doing this, the government basically says, okay, we don't want anyone who's employed and who's on standby to receive less than $1,500 a fortnight. Okay, and we're not going to get them to come to DHS, Department of Human Services, in order to announce that, because that's a mess. Okay, we're just going to tell employers, look, if you've got staff, don't let them go.
Yep.
Keep them on, pay them $1,500 a fortnight, whether they work or not, and we'll reimburse you. That's as clear as it is. Now, employees who are casuals or whatever, and who may have applied through Centrelink already, they realize, wait, I could potentially receive more if my employer just nominates me as an employee.
Right.
Okay. So they're going to their employees and they're saying, hey, make sure you include me.
Yep.
Don't leave me out of this because I need the money.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Now, employers are turning around and saying, well, if I've got to pay you $1,500, right, even though they're going to get reimbursed, that's still a cash flow hit. Okay. If I'm going to outlay to you $1,500 every fortnight, then you've got to come to work. Surely you're not just going to get free money for sitting at home and I have to pay you $1,500, even though I'm going to get that money back, right? Here, realize this is the problem. This is the problem. The employers are required to initially pay the amount physically, and then they get a reimbursement fairly quickly, I might add. Fairly quickly they get the reimbursement. Now, if you imagine a small business, okay, who maybe had, extreme example, let's say they had 4 staff, all of them were casual, and they only came in for 3 hours a week for the last year. All 4 of them qualify for this.
Yep.
Now, if they're getting $20 an hour, this employer is only used to paying, multiply it out, 3 times 6 by 4 per week, right?
Yep.
Now, all of a sudden, she's got to pay $750 every week to each of them. Okay? So it's a grey area.
Yep.
I think it's only a small portion of employers who are in like an extreme scenario like that.
I was going to ask you how many employers are you seeing that are going for this now? Like, do you see a sudden surge of businesses applying for that JobKeeper money?
Yes, so the government intended this to be applied broadly. Okay, it's been released to be inclusive. They want employers to be within it.
Right.
Okay, because it means that people stay in jobs and people still get paid. Right. So yeah, there is a lot of people out there that are entitled to this, and there's also a lot of people who are entitled who don't know or aren't sure that they're entitled.
Right.
And so yes, there is.
And for you, your concern obviously is more for the job keepers, because really the job seeker is not in that domain or in that area for accountants
Correct.
or people like yourself, is it? Because
that's right. I mean, we do assist clients with. I mean, if a client of ours runs a company and they go to Department of Human Services and want to get all those forms filled out, then they're going to ask questions about the company. They're going to want to see reports. We do assist with those inquiries. Right. But, for the typical employee, the job seeker application form is fairly straightforward. Some of the questions are a little bit tricky. Sure, contact your accountant, contact us if you have questions. But most people should be able to fill that out themselves.
So where is the money going to? I mean, it sounds like it's going to the unemployed or the people looking for jobs.
Yes.
And it's going to the employers, the ones that are running the businesses. But they're still, like I said, the job doers.
Yeah.
What do the job doers get?
So job doers still receive the JobKeeper in a way.
Right.
So employers who have employees who do still work, they are still entitled to the JobKeeper payments. So in a way, those employers are being subsidized for some of their wages. Okay. Now, if the employer hasn't been affected by COVID-19, if their revenue hasn't dropped by 30% and they don't expect it to drop by 30%, then they get nothing, which makes sense because they haven't been affected.
Yep.
And their employees get nothing, but their employees are still employed. So they're still getting paid.
So is that 30% magic number? Is that the number whereby that you're qualified? That's
the number for most businesses in Australia, I'll say. Yeah. If you're earning more than $1 billion,
get it.
And if you are, call me. So as long as you're earning less than $1 billion a year, that's the number that you've got to work with.
There's so much coming through the government announcement in terms of stimulus package, isn't it? I mean, for accounting firms and one accounting, for instance, what are some of the issues that you're experiencing at the moment in terms of all out of the whole, the stimulus package that has been announced?
Yeah, the in terms of the package itself, so the main issue is that information is being trickled out to the public. I think that's what's been most difficult for us to handle. Clients are contacting us constantly, and they want answers straight away. And unfortunately, all I can do is speculate, And I'm proud to say most of my speculation has been accurate. But, all I can do is kind of apply my other experiences and think to myself, okay, well, if I was the government, how would I want to administer this so that it's still fair and it doesn't exclude too many people? You'll find people who haven't been up to date with their taxes, they are going to have some trouble accessing some of these stimulus.
Right, what do you mean by that?
Well, a lot of there's kind of this broad overarching requirement with most of these government, most of the stimulus targeted to business,
right? And
that is that they have either lodged a BAS since 1st of July 2018 or submitted their 2019 tax return.
Right.
So there's like an overall kind of, hey, because they want to know that you have been in business at least in the last couple of years. They don't want people to start registering ABNs and things like that. I think they did a lot of work early on to try to cull that stuff.
Okay.
I know my own clients who I tried to register them for PAYG at one point, and I couldn't do that online. It said you have to call us.
Right.
So they did try to cut that off very quickly so that they don't have a flock of people the dodgy ones trying to register themselves and do all of this stuff and say they've been operating a business. Okay.
Well, that's interesting because maybe you need to summarize that, because obviously with as you said, the information about this kind of package or this kind of assistance being constantly sent out, it sounded as if the government is giving all of this free money.
Nothing's for free.
So yeah, I never thought it's for free. Well, the job seeker sounds like it's quite generous.
No, it's generous for sure.
Yeah.
But I say this to everyone: we're going to be paying for this.
Yeah.
So unless you plan to be unemployed for the next 10 years. You're going to pay back. You're going to pay this back in some manner. Yes,
the taxpayers will be paying for this. But so with all of these announcements, what I'm trying to gauge is there are there tips that you can say, look, you need, as you've just said, you need to have lodged your tax, returns or your BAS returns. So give people, clearly identify the things that they can qualify, that they, the criteria that they need to apply in order to qualify.
Yeah. Now, I'll revert back to something I said a little while ago. This changes constantly. So last night, just as a fluke, I decided to, late night reading. Yeah. I jumped on the ATO website as we do.
Yes. Oh, God. Exciting reading in the middle of the night.
and I noticed that they had updated something that was a big question in my mind. And this was about, having lodged your 2019 tax return. Now, I said that needs to be submitted, but they added a leniency for people affected by bushfires,
right?
Because they got an automatic extension until, I don't know, May or something like that. And then obviously my clients who are clients of mine get an automatic extension until 15th of May 2020 to lodge their 2019 tax return. The ATO doesn't expect us to churn out all of our tax returns in 3 months, right?
Yep.
So clients of tax agents got an exemption as well, as long as they have generally lodged on time. So now that gives us an opportunity to help a lot more people. So I thought it was a good thing. It's one of those things that there's probably going to be a few more dodgies getting in as a result, but I think it's overall a fair initiative and a fair way to administer the provisions.
And what's this? I can see some kind of form. Is that some you?
Yes. So thanks, Mr. C. Basically, for sole traders, we were getting confused ourselves. People were calling us. They're like, "How do we do this?" So we thought, you know what, we can flowchart this, right?
Yep. Flowchart everything nowadays.
Simple solution. Simple solution. So we did, and I'd say take this with a grain of salt. And I actually updated this last night for today because I added in that extra box. If you can scroll down a little bit, Mr. C. So I added in this box on the right-hand side.
Did you have an extension or another really good reason to lodge your 2019 income return later?
Yeah. Right. So really, I mean, Mr. C is going to make this available somewhere, I'm sure. And this is targeted for sole traders. So if you are a sole trader and you have been for a little while, then I would encourage you to kind of just do a little self-check, see if you qualify on the face of it. Now, take it with a grain of salt because the rules may have changed between last night and now. I wouldn't doubt it. But I'm fairly confident with this as at yesterday. So, see how you go. We have an online form available if you want us to, you can just memorize that.
So there's an online, so is that how you can help Fardad in terms of if people who are listening to this and actually would like to have more information, clarity around being a job keeper more than this job seeker?
Yeah, so this is targeted to businesses. If employees call us, we can't help you. But if your employer is not sure what to do, then by all means they can get in touch with us and we can take them through the process. We have put up a kind of a simple pricing structure with a really lenient payment term. I think we're doing like 13-week payment term. So it, for the average employee with maybe 2 or 3 staff, it's going to cost them maybe $600-700, and that's for the full process. So that includes the application. It includes the facilitating the payment, making sure it comes through. It includes the ongoing compliance as well. So every month the information that you have to submit. So we basically handhold them through the whole process. And the idea is, the people who are going to qualify for this are those that are the most affected, right? So there's no point giving an invoice now and saying, hey, you owe us this, 2-week term. That doesn't make any sense. So it's got a super lenient, super laxed, I like to call it, payment term. And look, just hopefully we can help as many people as possible and get them over the line in some manner. This also includes working out if you're eligible. So if you work through the flowchart and it says yes, then you probably are. I'd run with that. If you go through the flowchart and it says no, I'd still encourage you, if you feel like, you know what, I should be eligible, if you feel like you've got a good reason why you should be, I'd still encourage you to fill out the form, because chances are you are. If you feel like you are, then we can present that case to the tax office anyway. And
so if somebody listens to Dawncast and goes to you, what they can say? We heard from Dawncast, they're going to give a bit of a discount.
Yeah, definitely. Look, for us, anyone who's unsure, we test their eligibility for nothing. So we'll only charge you if you do become entitled to the payments. Okay, and the form says otherwise, but that's something that I can definitely put out to your viewers. Okay,
well, there you go. So they'll do the form, One Accounting and Fardad will do the form for you and ensure that if you don't get anything, then
no charge.
No charge.
Correct.
There you go.
That's simple.
Are you seeing a lot of work now coming your way? Like I think you know how they're talking about certain industry growth in this period, and I think accounting is one of the I think it's a big growth industry,
It is. Unfortunately, a lot of our clients suffer as well. And when they suffer, we suffer. Yeah. So it's created a lot of work, yes. But at the same time, we want to support clients. We don't necessarily want to send them big bills right now. So we've ended up working with our clients to try to extend payment terms, make sure that everyone's still lodging, because we don't want them to get hit with fines and all that, although I don't expect the ATO to issue any fines. But we still want them to maintain good compliance record, because one of the things we've seen already is if your lodgements aren't up to date, then you potentially get excluded from certain stimulus. So if there's more things coming up in the future, you want to make sure that you're up to date now.
So make sure I was going to say, what is the advice for viewers who've got small business or sole traders? What do they need to do now in preparation for not just the JobKeeper Stimulus, but also other stimulus packages that could come through?
Yeah, make sure lodgements are up to date. I think that's really important.
Priority?
Yeah, as a priority. Because, if you are suffering, you've probably got a lot of time on your hands anyway. So you're not at work, get your compliance up to date.
How are you coping at One Accounting? I mean, what's happening there?
Yeah, so we've been working from home. A couple of us went back to the office this week.
Yep.
Just to sort this out, really. Just to put something usable together. To let people kind of self-assess, and if they need our help, engage us. That's been my focus basically the last few days.
Yeah. Are you waiting to get out of the house and back into the office?
Yeah, it was good to come here. It was good to come here.
We are practicing the distance, social distancing.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Fardad.
My pleasure.
Listeners, if you guys are watching out there and you need that assistance or help and more inquiries, we will upload the links that Fardad has given us, and have a chat to Fardad at One Accounting, or if you've got your own accountant, make sure you raise it with them.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us here at Dawncast, and we look forward to bring you more stories like this. So we need your support, so click and subscribe to Dawncast on the link below. So see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Do you need anything else?
Probably. I don't know. That was good.
Yeah.